There is a plant sitting at your local garden center right now, on a shelf, fully labeled, no warnings anywhere on the pot, that can stop a human heart. Not over time, not in massive quantities, a single leaf. That is all it takes for a child. Another plant on today's list will begin destroying your dog's liver within 2 hours of one seed. One seed. And that plant is sold right alongside the marigolds and the impatiens with nothing to distinguish it from anything else on the shelf except how beautiful it looks. Here is the part that should concern every gardener watching this. There is no law in the United States that requires a nursery to put a toxicity warning on a plant pot. None. Not for the plant that causes cardiac arrest. Not for the plant that destroys liver tissue in hours. Not for the plant whose seeds the Centers for Disease Control classifies as a biological threat agent. The nursery is not going to warn you. The florist is not going to warn you. The seed catalog is absolutely not going to warn you. That is not a conspiracy. It is simply a regulatory gap that has existed for decades, and it keeps costing people their pets, and in rare cases, their lives. Today, we are going to close that gap. 5 plants, all sold openly, all available right now, all season long, across garden centers in every region of this country. And for every single one, I am going to show you exactly what is hiding inside it, what it does to the human body and to animals when something goes wrong, and what beautiful, proven perennial alternative you should be growing in its place. If you are new here, this channel exists for one reason: to give perennial gardeners honest, specific, experience-backed information that protects your investment, your animals, and your family. Not fluff, not generic advice you could find anywhere. If that is the kind of channel you want coming into your feed, subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. It costs you nothing, and it means every video finds you the moment it goes live. Stay with me through number 3. I promised you at the beginning that one would shake you, and I meant it. It is sitting inside millions of American homes at this very moment, and almost nobody who owns it has any idea what is hiding in every single leaf. Let's get into it. The first plant on this list is Oleander, Nerium oleander. Walk into almost any garden center from California to Florida right now, and you will find it stacked on the shelves, full, lush, covered in clusters of deep pink, soft white, or rich red flowers that look like something transplanted straight from a Mediterranean courtyard into an American backyard. It photographs beautifully. It sells itself. And it performs in the landscape. I will give it that. Oleander is drought-tolerant, heat-resistant, fast-growing, and practically maintenance-free once it is established. In USDA hardiness zones 8 through 11, which covers the entire southern stretch of this country, it thrives with almost no intervention. Municipalities plant it along California highways, in Texas median strips, and at subdivision entrances across the Gulf Coast, because they can install it, largely forget about it, and it will still look immaculate 5 years later. For a homeowner who wants a bold, colorful hedge without spending every weekend in it, Oleander genuinely seems like the answer. That is exactly why it keeps moving off nursery shelves season after season. That is exactly why the pots never carry a warning. But here is what the tag will never tell you. Every single part of Oleander is toxic. The leaves, the flowers, the stems, the roots, and this one surprises most gardeners, even the smoke produced when you burn the clippings after trimming. Burning oleander clippings is not a safe way to dispose of them. The combustion itself releases the toxins into the air in a form that can be inhaled, and there were documented cases of people developing toxic reactions from nothing more than standing near a fire containing oleander material. The ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center lists oleander as one of the most consistently reported toxic plant emergencies across the United States. Veterinary hospitals along the Gulf Coast and in Southern California issue specific seasonal warnings every summer, specifically during trimming season, because the pattern of exposure is that predictable and that consistent. By the time most owners recognize that something is seriously wrong, the treatment window has already narrowed considerably. Cardiac glycoside poisoning in animals moves fast, time is not on your side.
Safer perennial alternative. If you love that bold, flowering hedge look that Oleander delivers, grow hardy hibiscus instead. Hardy hibiscus varieties, Hibiscus moschitos and its cultivars, thrive across USDA zones 4 through 9, which covers the overwhelming majority of the continental United States. The flowers are genuinely dramatic. Dinner plate-sized blooms in deep reds, vivid pinks, soft whites, and bicolors that stop visitors in their tracks from across the yard. In the deep south and southwest, tropical hibiscus grows as a true perennial, and over time reaches the same impressive scale as a mature oleander hedge. Hummingbirds and native pollinators pursue hibiscus with remarkable dedication, from midsummer all the way through fall. It is completely non-toxic to children, dogs, and cats, and it gives you something oleander never will: a landscape plant that is both beautiful and safe to have in a yard where your family and animals actually live. Every bit of the visual impact, none of the hidden risk. If oleander caught you off guard, the next plant will surprise you even more. It looks like something out of a storybook garden. Bees adore it. Hummingbirds chase across the yard all season. And inside those beautiful bell-shaped flowers is a chemical compound so powerful that doctors have been using a refined version of it to save lives for over 2 centuries. Except in the wild plant growing in your garden, there is no safe dose.
The second plant looks like it was designed by someone who wanted to create the perfect cottage garden flower. Bees absolutely love it. Hummingbirds chase it across the yard all season long. And the flowers are genuinely breathtaking. Tall, dramatic spires covered in tubular blooms in deep purple, soft lavender, creamy pink, and white, with spotted, almost hand-painted throats that look like they came straight out of an English garden painting. This is Foxglove, Digitalis purpurea. Nurseries across the Pacific Northwest, the Upper Midwest, and the Northeast stock it heavily every spring because it performs reliably in USDA zones 4 through 9, it self-seeds freely and returns year after year without requiring replanting, and it fills vertical space in a border that most perennials simply cannot occupy. Seed catalogs have marketed those exact qualities: the drama, the height, the pollinator appeal, the self-seeding reliability for generations. Gardeners buy it by the flat every single spring. But what most gardeners are never told, not by the nursery, not by the catalog, not by the tag on the pot, is what is happening inside every single one of those beautiful blooms. Foxglove contains compounds called digitalis glycosides. These are the direct chemical source of digoxin and digitoxin, 2 cardiac medications that have been prescribed to heart patients in this country for generations. The physician William Withering first formally documented the medicinal properties of foxglove in 1785, and even then, in that very first scientific record, he wrote clearly that the line between a therapeutic dose and a fatal one was razor thin. He knew it from the very beginning. The plant demands precision that simply does not exist outside a laboratory.
In the wild plant growing in your garden, that line does not exist at all. There is no controlled dose, there is no safe part. Ingesting any portion of foxglove, leaf, flower, stem, or seed can cause nausea, severe vomiting, dangerous irregularities in cardiac rhythm, visual disturbances, and in serious cases, cardiac arrest. Children face particular risk because those tall, tubular flowers are precisely the kind of thing small hands want to reach into and investigate. Gardeners who work around foxglove without gloves and then absent-mindedly touch their face have experienced toxic reactions from nothing more than that brief contact. American emergency rooms still see these cases today. In the Pacific Northwest, where foxglove has naturalized along roadsides, forest edges, and residential gardens, and reestablishes itself every single season without being deliberately planted, gardeners can face repeated exposure risk for multiple years without ever realizing the plant has established itself on their property. You did not plant it. It arrived on its own, and now it self-seeds through your border every spring. U.S. Poison Control receives calls every year involving foxglove ingestion across multiple American states, and the cases involving children are consistently among the most serious. I want to pause here for a moment, because this is the pattern you will see across every plant on this list. These are not obscure, rare plants that most gardeners will never encounter. These are plants you have probably walked past at a nursery, plants your neighbor might have in their front border, plants that appear in garden magazine spreads and cottage garden Pinterest boards as aspirational, beautiful additions to a perennial planting. That gap between how beautiful they look and what they actually contain is exactly why this information matters so much.
Safer perennial alternative. For that tall, vertical statement presence in your perennial border and that same powerful pull on pollinators, grow penstemon instead. Penstemon is a native North American perennial wildflower that mirrors foxglove's tall, tubular form almost exactly. It thrives across USDA zones 3 through 9. It is one of the most consistent attractors of native bees and hummingbirds on the entire continent, and it carries absolutely zero cardiac risk to anyone who handles it, grows around it, or has children or animals in the garden with it. Snapdragons are another strong option for gardeners who want immediate, season-long color in the same height range and color palette as foxglove, the same pinks, purples, and creamy yellows. Both penstemon and snapdragons are available through American nurseries and seed catalogs. Both require less water than foxglove once established, and neither one has ever sent a child or a dog to the emergency room. Before plant number 3, I want to say something directly to everyone watching. This channel exists to give you information that the nursery, the florist, and the seed catalog have no obligation to give you. And you are about to hear about a plant that is inside millions of American homes right now, today, as you watch this. And almost nobody who owns it has been told a single thing about what is hiding inside every leaf. If that sounds like a strong claim, stay with me. It is not hyperbole. I promised you at the beginning that number 3 would shake you. Here it is. Dieffenbachia. Most Americans know it by its common name, dumb cane. This is not a garden plant. This is a houseplant. One of the 10 best-selling houseplants in the entire United States. And right now, as you watch this video, it is sitting on living room shelves, in office lobbies, on kitchen windowsills, and in children's bedrooms in millions of American homes across every single state. Walk into any home improvement store, walk into any florist, walk into the indoor plant section of any major garden center. You will almost certainly find it prominently displayed. Large, glossy tropical leaves splashed with patterns of cream, soft white, and pale yellow. It looks genuinely beautiful. It looks lush and expensive. Interior designers recommend it in editorial spreads. Office managers buy it by the pot for waiting rooms and reception areas. New homeowners pick it up because it looks like the kind of plant that signals a well-decorated, thoughtfully kept home. It also thrives on neglect, which is another reason it sells so consistently. It tolerates low light without complaint. It requires minimal watering. It can sit in the corner of a room for months and still look healthy. For a busy household that wants living plants without constant maintenance, Dieffenbachia presents as the obvious solution. Here is what almost nobody who owns one has ever once been told. Inside every leaf and every stem of Dieffenbachia are microscopic, needle-shaped crystals called calcium oxalate raphides. These crystals are not passive. They are not simply irritating like a prickly plant surface. When the plant tissue is chewed or broken open, these crystals are forcibly ejected. The mechanism is actually quite violent at a microscopic level, directly into the soft lining of the mouth, the tongue, and the throat. Thousands of tiny, needle-sharp crystals firing simultaneously into soft tissue the moment that first bite breaks the cell wall. There is no warning. There is no gradual escalation. It happens instantly. The immediate result is intense, burning pain and rapid swelling. In severe cases, and this is where the name comes from, the throat swells enough that speaking becomes difficult or impossible, and breathing becomes labored. The common name dumb cane is not casual. It refers directly to what the plant does. It renders victims temporarily unable to produce sound. Even handling the sap with bare hands and then touching the eyes causes a burning reaction severe enough to require prompt medical attention.
U.S. Poison Control receives thousands of calls every year involving Dieffenbachia. Toddlers and household cats are the most frequently affected victims. The ASPCA lists it among the top indoor plants responsible for veterinary emergency calls nationwide. And in the overwhelming majority of these cases, the plant was not stored out of reach. It was not locked away or placed in a restricted room. It was simply sitting where the nursery intended it to sit, on a shelf, on a table, in the center of the main living space. Because that is where houseplants go. That is where this one is marketed to be placed. And that is exactly where it is most accessible to the smallest people and the most curious animals in the home. The plant does not look threatening. It looks beautiful and completely harmless. That is precisely what makes it so dangerous in a home with children or pets. Safer perennial alternative. For that bold, full, tropical indoor presence that Dieffenbachia delivers, grow a parlor palm instead. The parlor palm, Chamaedorea elegans, thrives in the same low to medium indoor light conditions that make Dieffenbachia so popular. It needs watering only when the soil has genuinely dried out. It grows slowly and maintains a graceful architectural presence in any room. And it is completely non-toxic to children, cats, and dogs, fully verified by both the ASPCA and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. A Boston fern works equally well for gardeners who prefer a softer, more traditional indoor silhouette. Both are available at American garden centers and home improvement retailers at the same price points as Dieffenbachia, in the same pot sizes, positioned in the same sections of the store. You will find them right next to the Dieffenbachia on the shelf. The choice between them is a simple one, and it is yours to make. Before we go further, of the 3 plants we have covered so far, which one concerns you the most for your specific home and garden situation? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Your response might be the exact thing someone else watching this needed to see. The 4th plant is for every dog owner in this country, and it is the most urgent entry on this entire list. If you are a dog owner, and there are approximately 90 million dogs in American households right now, this next plant is the most urgent entry on this entire list. Not the scariest, not the most dramatic, the most urgent. For you specifically, if your dog has access to your yard. This is the Sago Palm, Cycas revoluta. Landscape companies across the American South and Southwest install sago palms by the hundreds every single season. They appear on patios and covered porches, in front yard planters, and in formal landscape beds from Florida to California. The plant is genuinely striking. It grows in a perfect symmetrical sculptural form, a textured dark trunk topped with a crown of deep green feathery fronds that fan outward with architectural precision. It photographs beautifully. It is a premium product that nurseries price accordingly, and it earns that price point because it genuinely delivers in the landscape. It tolerates heat, it tolerates drought once mature, it holds its form year-round without pruning, and it requires almost nothing from the gardener to maintain. For a homeowner or a landscape designer looking for a low-maintenance, high-impact accent plant, it is genuinely excellent from a purely horticultural standpoint. But the problem has absolutely nothing to do with how it grows. The problem is what it does inside the body of a dog who finds one of its seeds on the ground. Every single part of the sago palm is toxic to dogs and cats. Every part. But the seeds carry the highest concentration of a compound called cycacin. Cycacin is a direct hepatotoxin. That word means exactly what it sounds like. It specifically targets and destroys liver tissue. And veterinary toxicologists describe cycacin as one of the most aggressive hepatotoxic plant compounds found in any landscape plant in the United States. Here is the progression in dogs, and I want to walk through this carefully, because understanding the timeline is the difference between a dog that survives and one that does not. A dog chews and swallows a single sago palm seed, a seed that fell to the ground unnoticed, the way seeds do, especially during fall when production peaks. Vomiting typically begins within 2 to 3 hours of ingestion. Most owners at this point do not connect the vomiting to the plant. They assume the dog ate something from the trash or found something in the grass, or simply has an upset stomach. They watch and wait, which is the natural human response to a dog that is vomiting. As liver function begins to deteriorate over the next 12 to 24 hours, neurological symptoms emerge. Staggering, difficulty maintaining balance, tremors, seizures. Once those neurological signs appear, survival rates drop below 50%, even with aggressive, around-the-clock veterinary treatment. The treatment itself is intensive and expensive. IV fluids, liver support medications, continuous monitoring across multiple days. Many dogs do not survive regardless of how quickly they reach a clinic. The window is that narrow.
The seeds are small, smooth, and fall to the ground with nothing to distinguish them. No smell, no unusual color, nothing that signals danger to an animal. A dog moving through the yard encounters them the way any dog encounters any fallen object on the ground, with curiosity and zero hesitation. There are heartbreaking documented cases across this country of dog owners who had grown a Sago Palm in their yard for years without incident, and who lost their dog to a single seed found on the ground during an ordinary afternoon. Years of coexistence, and then one seed, and then a race against time that most owners did not even know they were running. The ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center identifies the Sago Palm as one of the leading causes of fatal plant poisoning in dogs across the entire United States. That is not a rare edge case. That is a consistent, seasonal, predictable pattern that repeats every fall across thousands of American households.
Safer perennial alternative. If you want that graceful, feathery, tropical frond look, grow an areca palm instead. The areca palm, Dipsis lutescens, provides the same full, sweeping frond display as the Sago Palm. It thrives in USDA zones 9 through 11, where the Sago Palm performs best as a landscape plant, and it is completely non-toxic to dogs, cats, and children. No caveats, no exceptions. For gardeners in cooler zones who want that same look indoors, a Majesty Palm or a Kentia Palm performs beautifully in bright indoor light, stays completely safe for every animal in the household, and grows into an impressive architectural statement over time, with consistent watering and occasional fertilizing through the growing season. All three alternatives are available through American garden centers and mail-order plant retailers, and all three deliver the tropical character of a Sago Palm, without a single gram of the associated risk. If the Sago Palm concerns you, and if you have a dog, it should, the final plant on this list operates on a categorically different level. The previous four are dangerous because of what they do to a person or animal who encounters them in an ordinary garden setting. This one is different because of what it is classified as by the United States federal government. Stay with me. Every plant we have covered today is dangerous because of what it does inside the body of a person or an animal who encounters it in a garden or a home. This final plant operates on a categorically different level. The castor bean, Ricinus communis. Its seeds contain a compound so acutely toxic that the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention classifies it as a Category B biological threat agent, the same classification framework used to evaluate substances considered serious national safety concerns. And right now, at this moment, castor bean is sold openly in American seed catalogs and garden centers, marketed as a fast-growing decorative plant for gardeners who want dramatic tropical impact in zones where true tropical species cannot survive a winter. Let me tell you what it actually looks like in a garden, because the visual appeal here is real, and the marketing plays on that appeal effectively. Castor bean is genuinely impressive. It grows fast, sometimes 6 to 10 feet in a single American growing season. It produces oversized star-shaped leaves in deep forest green or rich bronze red that command attention from across the yard. The seed pods are spiky, architectural, almost sculptural in a border or a large container planting. Seed catalogs have sold it as a fast-growing tropical accent for northern gardeners for generations. And for gardeners in zones where you cannot grow true tropicals, it genuinely delivers that visual scale in a way almost nothing else can match in a single season. It fills space fast. It requires minimal input once established. It photographs magnificently. That combination, dramatic looks, fast growth, low maintenance,
is exactly why it keeps appearing in catalogs and on garden center shelves season after season, often with nothing more than the word ornamental on the tag. Now, let me tell you about the seeds. Castor bean seeds contain ricin. You may have heard the name in a news context, because ricin has appeared in a number of public safety incidents and criminal cases in the United States over the years. The CDC's Category B classification for ricin puts it in the same framework as substances considered serious risks to public safety at a national level. Ricin works by penetrating individual cells and blocking protein synthesis entirely. Once ricin enters the body, individual cells throughout the body, lose the ability to produce the proteins required to sustain their basic function. Organ systems begin failing in sequence as that cellular failure spreads. There is no specific antidote. Medical treatment is entirely supportive, meaning doctors can manage symptoms as they develop, but they cannot reverse the mechanism of the toxin itself. The body must fight through it, if it can. 2 to 3 castor bean seeds contain enough ricin to be fatal to a child. Not a handful, not a significant quantity. 2 to 3 seeds. The seeds are large, smooth, and attractively patterned in a way that makes them look collectible or interesting. Or, to a young child who does not know better, edible. They look like something you might pick up and put in a pocket, the way children pick up interesting-looking rocks or shells. That is not a theoretical concern. It is the documented pattern in the poisoning cases on record. Children found the seeds in a garden setting and were drawn to them precisely because of how they look. Handling the seeds without gloves and then touching the eyes or the mouth transfers enough surface residue to cause a toxic reaction without any ingestion at all. Several American states actively discourage or restrict the cultivation of castor bean specifically because of these risks. The real-world record on this plant in the United States is not theoretical. It is documented. And the cases keep accumulating season after season because the catalogs keep shipping and the shelves keep stocking, and the warnings never come.
Safer perennial alternative. For that bold, large-scale tropical impact in your garden border or container, grow canna lily instead. Canna lily performs as a true perennial across USDA zones 7 through 10, and as a reliable summer annual in cooler zones where castor bean is most commonly sold as a season filler. It grows just as fast, reaching 4 to 6 feet in a single season, and produces enormous tropical leaves in the same deep green, rich bronze, and dark burgundy that make castor bean so visually striking. And then it delivers something castor bean does not: spectacular flower spikes in red, orange, yellow, and coral pink that carry the planting from midsummer all the way to the first frost. Completely non-toxic to children, dogs, and cats. Widely available through American garden centers and bulb catalogs from early spring onward. For sheer visual impact per square foot of garden space, canna lily is one of the strongest performers in American ornamental gardening, and it earns that position without a single associated risk. Elephant ear, Colocasia esculenta, is another excellent option for that oversized tropical leaf presence. In zones 8 through 11, it performs as a perennial. In cooler zones, it makes a magnificent container or border annual. Same drama, same scale, completely safe for your household.
Before you leave, 5 specific, actionable steps you can take right now to protect your family and your animals. Step 1. Before purchasing any ornamental plant at a nursery or garden center, open your phone and search the plant's name alongside the words ASPCA Toxicity. The ASPCA maintains a free, comprehensive, regularly updated database of toxic plants covering hundreds of species. That search takes under 30 seconds and gives you a definitive answer before the plant ever comes through your front door. Step 2. If you have cats, and I want you to do this tonight, not eventually, photograph every houseplant and every potted plant in your home and run each one through that same ASPCA database. The risk may not be in a plant you are considering buying. It may already be sitting on your windowsill or your kitchen counter at this very moment. Dieffenbachia alone is in millions of American homes. Check yours tonight. Step 3. If you ever suspect that a pet has ingested a toxic plant, call the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center immediately. The number is 888-426-4435. Write that down.
put it in your flame contacts. Do not watch and wait for symptoms to develop or worsen. The plants on this list move through the body quickly, and the treatment window is the single most critical factor in the outcome. Every hour you spend watching and waiting is an hour you cannot get back.
Step 4. If a child or an adult has ingested a plant and you are uncertain of the risk, call U.S. Poison Control immediately. The number is 1-800-222-1222. That number operates around the clock, every day of the year, from anywhere in the continental United States. The specialists on the line can guide you through exactly what to do based on the specific plant involved. Save that number right now, before you finish watching this video. Step 5. When you are at a nursery and you are not sure, choose a native North American species. Coneflowers, black-eyed Susans, native asters, wild bergamot, Joe Pye weed. These plants are virtually all non-toxic. They require significantly less water and fertilizer than most imported ornamentals. They perform better in their regional climates than plants bred for entirely different growing conditions. And they support native bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, and birds with a reliability and effectiveness that no imported ornamental can match. Your garden, your animals, your household budget, and your local ecosystem all benefit from that single choice at the same time. Now, every plant on this list is being sold right now, this season, this weekend, without adequate warnings, without legal requirement to disclose, without the information that would allow you to make an informed decision at the moment of purchase. The nursery's not going to tell you. The florist is not going to tell you. The seed catalog has not and will not tell you. That gap has existed for decades. You now know what is in it.
One question before I let you go, and this one genuinely matters. Given everything covered today, which plant concerns you most for your specific situation? Is it the Sago Palm in your front yard and your dog running loose in the same space? Is it the Dieffenbachia you've had on your kitchen counter for 3 years and a toddler in the house? Is it the Foxglove that showed up in your border last spring and you never quite knew what it was? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Tell me your situation and tell me what you are going to do about it this week. Not eventually, this week. Every single comment on this channel gets read, and your answer might be exactly the push that someone else watching needed to take action before something goes wrong in their home. If this video gave you information you did not have when you hit play, share it with one gardening friend today. One person, one share, 10 seconds. It may prevent a genuinely serious situation for someone in your circle who had no idea any of this existed before you sent it to them. And if you are not yet subscribed, the button is right in front of you. Every video on this channel is built around honest, specific, experience-backed information for gardeners and homesteaders who take their growing seriously. The kind of information